Hey guys, this is Callum from English Shooting and welcome back to the channel. Some of you may remember a video that I did covering the announcement from BASC and other shooting organisations over the voluntary transition from lead shot ammunition. Well, needless to say that announcement didn't go down very well with the shooting community, and certainly there was a lot of shooters thinking that this was very much an own goal by BASC and the shooting organisations. Given that in the UK we seem to have new restrictions, new legislations and new bans pretty much every single year, the last thing we needed was this voluntary own goal of making things even harder for ourselves. We are attacked from all angles. We don't need it within our own community. And very famously, whilst BASC came out and said that all of the cartridge manufacturers were on board, the cartridge manufacturers united and came out and said, no, we weren't even consulted. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. There have been some reports from a number of good sources giving a little bit of insight of why that happened and why BASC made the announcement, and the cartridge manufacturers seemed to know nothing about it. However, there has been more development in this potential lead ammunition ban and the voluntary transition. We were pretty optimistic, and this turned out to be correct, that in leaving the EU we wouldn't be hit by the EU lead ban. Again, why it seemed to be such a own goal for BASC to come out anyway and said no, let's move away from lead. But we'd seemed to have fended off the EU lead ban. However, with leaving the EU, the UK government has created the UK Reach, and DEFRA alongside the Environment Agency have come out and said that they will be doing a report, an investigation into the use of lead ammunition. And within all of their announcements and reports so far, it highlights the fact that the shooting organisations are already on board with banning lead and moving away from it. Something that they may have thought they would have had a fight against shooters with, a fight with the organisations with. They knew that there was going to be no fight, there was going to be no opposition. And to be honest, BASC cannot put up a fight against this. Yes, they will probably push back against sooner implementation of this. They will probably push back on what they think is unfair, or certainly things that aren't necessary in banning lead ammunition or restricting it in certain ways, but they really have no argument. They have just completely opened the floodgates for UK government and for UK Reach to do whatever they want with very little to defend against. So this is going to be potentially the most detrimental thing we have seen to UK shooting sports, because within the UK Reach it doesn't say lead shot. BASC were very specific that this was only going to be on lead shot, certainly to begin with. Within UK Reach it says all lead ammunition. This means rifle calibers, and looking at .22 long rifle, which is one of the most popular calibers here, the price of .22 LR is going to skyrocket if we have to start using these more exotic materials. And certainly something that got the shooting sports side of the shooting community up in arms was even moving away from just lead shot. Take practical shooting, for example. Whilst it is one of the smaller areas of the sport, it is one of the fastest growing and is certainly bringing in a disproportionate amount of new shooters, because it's very fun, it's very dynamic, and it's fairly modern as shooting goes. You are shooting steel plates from 5 meters away. Using steel shot, you are going to get horrific ricochets. You're going to look like you've been rubbed up and down with a cheese grater by the time you've finished a competition. Now, one of the biggest things that certainly gripes me about this is the continuing cries from BASC saying we must be consulted, the shooting organisations must be consulted, we must stick together and have one voice on this. Well, can you please answer me, where the membership have been consulted with this. This is actually one of the main reasons that I left BASC, have completely thrown practical shooting under the bus with this, have completely thrown shooting sports or target sports in general, and once again seem to be firmly focused on just game shooting. It's almost like as long as we can protect game shooting, we don't mind at what cost. And all the time they're talking about being consulted. Well, I think it's about time, BASC, that you consulted us, the shooters, and also your members. I talked a little bit about various reports that I've had from pretty credible sources on the whole kerfuffle, let's say, about the shooting organizations versus the cartridge manufacturers. Well, what has been reported to me is that whilst BASC came out and said that they had consulted with the cartridge manufacturers, they had in fact consulted with one person from one company. Now, this person held a marketing and sales role within the company, and personally and other people believe that they just saw it as an opportunity. This company, it was well known that they were way ahead of the game with transitioning away from lead, and they thought, well, if we can get ahead on this, if we are ready and our competitors are not, and they bring this in now, we are going to be ahead of the game. We are going to become the go-to company and in essence make a lot of money. So this person ended up acting without the knowledge of the board, without the knowledge of the company, and took the opportunity, told BASC and the other shooting organizations, and BASC and the other shooting organizations took that as golden. They didn't do any other speaking, any other consultation. They just took this one person's word. Now, for me, that is negligence in some form. Such a huge decision, such a monumentous transition, you would want to make sure that every manufacturer was on board and you had the full picture. To just take one person's opinion or sort of statement on that is just absolute madness. However, in their defense, they did at least have in some form a cartridge manufacturer saying that they were ready. Needless to say, when sort of all of this came out, the person no longer works for that cartridge manufacturer, and this specific company was actually one of the companies that clubbed together with the other manufacturers and came out and said, no, we haven't been consulted. As far as they knew, they hadn't. This one person acted on their own, gave BASC a wildly misrepresentation of where the industry was, where the manufacturer and manufacturers were. So in the company's defense, they didn't know what was going on. They certainly hadn't officially on a company level released this statement, and it was just one person acting on their own. So you can see it from both sides, a little bit of getting the wrong end of the stick, but still, BASC shooting organizations to take one person from one manufacturer, it's just utter madness. But that does sort of seem to clear up, or certainly give light to why that happened and how it happened. But still, with UK reach, with UK government, with the Environment Agency now breathing down our neck, actively looking into this, it's going to be far worse than we ever imagined. It is not going to be this 5-year voluntary transition away from lead. We're going to have something imposed on us. We are going to have further restrictions imposed on us, and our shooting organizations are not going to have anything to combat it. They have effectively welcomed this with open arms, and I think as a community we should be a lot more angry about this, and we should certainly be asking for people to answer for it and to include us and to consult with us a lot more. This is our sport. Our organizations should not be dictating what we can and can't do. We should be making decisions as a community and not having these dictatorship-like organizations doing it for us. But there we go, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please consider subscribing and sharing. And as always, guys, I hope to see you soon.